So we got a new Tomodachi Life Living the Dream trailer last week, and ever since I've been obsessing over the new footage and looking at each and every little new detail I could possibly find. Trust me, this is totally normal and not weird at all. Not to mention that a lot of you had discovered things in my last video that I had never noticed, so we've got a lot to cover. Although this trailer was fairly brief and you might not think much was hidden in there, they teased a surprising amount of new features and small details which give us a better idea of the new content and changes in this game from the 3DS version. So let's take a look. Starting us off, we get an even better look at some of the many shops and buildings in the game, which are mostly familiar from the 3DS version. This isn't anything too crazy, but it has raised a lot of questions, like where is the music hall? Well, the simple answer is we don't know, but given how the game worked on the 3DS version, it's most likely just not unlocked yet on this particular save, and they're saving it for a later trailer. Also, given the fact the island can only host so many houses where the current Miis live, it indicates that the island will actually expand and grow over time, probably as you invite more Miis and make progress, similar to how the apartment building grew on the 3DS version. So don't worry too much yet if your favorite feature from the 3DS version hasn't popped up, they're just not revealing too much yet, these are the very early trailers. We can also see that the houses come in various different colors, yet all the styles are mostly the same. This makes me wonder if in future we'll be able to upgrade the exteriors a bit from what we see here. After all, we're most likely seeing the most basic island footage in this early trailer, so that they don't spoil too much from later on. I did notice from this footage that the color isn't the only thing that changes though. There's actually different stuff down the side of the houses. Maybe the house colors could be tied to the personality types, and they could have more items that represent the personality outside. Who knows? We can see that the Miis can actually interact with their surroundings on the island a bit more than the preset cutscene type interactions we got on the 3DS. For example, the Mii here is switching the lamppost on and off, and I'm sure there'll be loads of others too. Now, this is speculation on my part, but it is grounded in a lot of evidence. The map seems designed very weirdly here in this top corner, with two houses sitting on their own below a much bigger cluster. This really shows to me that we will be expanding the actual space on the island as we add in more Miis, so I wouldn't be too concerned about how many you'll have to have yet from what they've shown off, as I've seen some people have been worrying about that. It seems very likely that you'll be able to add in at least 100, I reckon, which I think was the amount on the 3DS version, and I can't imagine them scaling that down for this particular game. I think that would be a shame. Also, the roofs had these little grabby things on top, which once again suggests we'll be able to use our big old human hands to pick them up and place them wherever we would like, which I think is a fun feature. The quick build shop, which is new, even shows this being done in the little icon, so maybe you need to go in there to be able to do this sort of thing and place down or move around houses, so there should be a lot of customization. Purely comparing the Mii editor on the 3DS, there are now a lot more face type available. I'm not going to be comparing too much here compared to Miitopia version, just to be clear. In the 3DS game, we had 8 face types. Here we have 16, which is a pretty nice upgrade. There are a lot of new customization options which will make creating our Miis a lot easier, some of which comes from general improvements to Miis, Miitopia, and stuff that's totally new to this game. There are now also 14 skin tones to choose from compared to the 6 on the 3DS, which is another much appreciated upgrade. Unfortunately, they didn't show off all the new eyebrow options, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say there's probably more to get. There are also new options available for you to try in here too, like the eyebrows that have a slit in them, so again there's going to be a lot of new customization options. Of course, the hair color options have been upgraded massively this time around, pretty much reducing the need for the hairspray item, although maybe not entirely. This is a great change because you'd have to wait to unlock this sometimes, which could be a pain, so having the ability to customize this a bit more from the Mii Maker is a huge improvement that'll make our characters feel a lot more realistic. However, it is worth noting that so far, we only see hair highlights. You choose from one of the main natural colors and then you add in a highlight. This doesn't seem to fully change the color of your hair, so it does make me wonder if perhaps the hairspray item is still in there somewhere if you want a full dye rather than highlights. Still, being able to add highlights from the get-go is a big help. You can now customize your hairstyle in much greater ways than ever before, such as changing the bangs or editing the back of the hair. The option to flip your hairstyle returns from the 3DS game, which is good. I see a ton of new hairstyles in here, organized into sets, so there should be possibly hundreds of combinations you can try, given the customization of bangs, the back, flipping it, and color options too. This has got me really excited for the possibilities, they seem pretty much endless. There are also new mouth options available for you to try, which is great, and I did also notice this little thing in the corner. I'm not 100% sure what this means, but I have a feeling that it's choosing whether you want to have lips on your character or not, so you can decide whether you want to turn that off or on for each individual Mii, which could definitely be some useful customization. There are also a bunch of new noses to choose from, as there were only 18 available on the 3DS game, so this is another big upgrade. The personality selector appears to be the exact same from the 3DS version, however it is possible some of the wording has changed. Here in the UK, our wording was actually different from America, which led to some confusion, so I was hoping they would use the same text for both versions, but the UK trailer confirmed this is not the case. And that got me thinking, what other hidden things are there here in the UK trailer? Well, for a start, they actually show off more hairstyles than they did in the American trailer. As you can see here, for some reason, they've used a totally different Mii. I'm not sure why, but it's an interesting change which gives us new possibilities. This applies to the mouth options as well, as we get to see even more mouth options that we didn't see in the American version, which is pretty cool. It's possible that there are some more subtle changes too in the many different trailers released, so let me know if you've spotted any in the comments section. Onto the voice editor, it seems pretty much the same, however some of the wording has changed from the 3DS version as far as I can tell. It also uses different wording once again in the UK trailer, so there's going to be a lot of localization changes which they have to mess around with. That partly makes me wonder if that's why this game still doesn't have a set release date, as it's clearly taking more time to develop than maybe would be expected for a game like this. It appears like a lot of the items you could gift your Miis to play around with are returning. I'm guessing ones like the 3DS and Wii U probably won't make a comeback, with the Switch and Switch 2 replacing them this time around, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of fun new options for us to get as well, which will be great. Miis can also have a portrait of themselves in their home. It's unknown whether this would actually be some kind of feature similar to the photos feature in Animal Crossing, or if it's some sort of decoration that's just a part of the background used for that room. I'm more leaning towards the latter, to be honest. A massive improvement is that we can now see the Mii personality type from the little pop-up menu when we interact with them, which is huge. Originally, we'd have to check this out in the office if we didn't remember off the top of our heads, so this makes things a lot easier. It also shows whether the Mii is an adult or child character too, so lots of useful information here. There's this little icon which pops in the corner sometimes, and it appears as though it relates to how many Miis currently have a problem for you to solve on the island. Perhaps you can click on it quickly to get to a menu to see all of the problems at once, rather than scouring the island to find all of the different Miis which currently have an issue, so that could be really useful. I've also noticed that the friendship level up screen is heavily inspired from the Miitopia game, so it's looking like a lot of things will be inspired from that game too, which is great, as it added some important improvements. I played the game quite a few years ago and not nearly as obsessively as the Tomodachi Life game on the 3DS, so I can't compare it too much here to what we've seen in this trailer, but I definitely noticed this particular change that they've made. In this weird little scene, it seems like the character might actually have the default room for their personality type, which is interesting, something we do see in the previous scene where they're feeding the character. I doubt this one has been decorated at all as it seems so sparse, so I'm assuming this is the room for this particular personality type. Did you think I was done with the UK trailer? Well, you thought wrong. Since they showed off a different Mii in the spot where they fed some food, we can actually see another personality type shown off in the new menu. This is small but fun to see. Although I will note, and this is definitely important, keep in mind that the personality types are different, at least wording wise, in the UK version. So if you get confused by why you see some and they're not in your game, that would be why. This is exactly the same as it was in the original game. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this personally, but it's definitely returning. Now, I decided to skim through the Japanese trailer to see if anything was different, but it appears that they just used the UK version, so I'm not sure there are that many differences there. At least I didn't notice anything overtly different. It really does make me wonder why the UK and Japan had the exact same trailer, but America had a unique version. I don't know, I'm guessing it has to do with a lot of the localization changes and such, but it's interesting to think about for sure. Now, we do know that this game will be releasing in spring 2026, and it is for the original Nintendo Switch in case anyone is worried about that. Now, I've seen a lot of people speculating about the release date and giving their guesses. One that's come up a lot is the 18th of April 2026, which is the exact release date of the 3DS version. However, I will say I'm not so confident about this, as the 18th of April 2026 is actually a Saturday, and as far as I'm aware, Nintendo releases their games usually on a Thursday. I think in the past they did release them on a Friday, but it seems like Thursday has kind of become the new norm. So I actually think that maybe April the 16th or April the 17th is a more likely date for it to release. This is of course speculative on my part, but I feel like April is probably a good time for this game to come out. We'll just have to keep an eye out on what other releases are happening around that time, as there have been so many. So yeah, that's everything that I noticed within the new Tomodachi Life trailer. It's actually unbelievable just how many details are in here, and I'm sure there are things that I've still missed. Yes, of course, a lot of these are very small and silly, but Tomodachi Life is that type of game. It's the type of game where you obsess over the small things. It's not meant to be taken too seriously, so I hope you had as much fun as I did checking this all out. Let me know if you're going to be picking up this game in the comment section down below. If you make it to the end, be sure to comment Bob's Gang so I know you did, and don't forget to subscribe for more Tomodachi Life and cozy gaming content.